Hello, what's on your movie Madman, and I'm back. And today we're finally going to talk about it today. I've mentioned it quite a few times now, so I thought today is finally the day to bring it to you and talk about it. So that's what we're going to do today, because today we're going to talk about it. So before we start, I just wanted to say, if you haven't read the book or seen the TV adaptation of this, or the two films including this one, and you want to do any of that, then this video is probably not for you, because this is just going to be full of spoilers all the way through. So bear that in mind at the beginning, alright? So speaking of the beginning, probably best to start with the book. It's a very large book, 1166 pages long. So if you like a nice long book, then this is definitely the book for you. I started reading this book, or should I say, I started attempting to read this book a while ago. I think after the first film came out, chapter 1, I then decided to start reading the book. I didn't get very far into the book before I gave up, and then when chapter 2 was on the horizon to come out, I then started tackling the book again, and I got a little bit further the second time round, but it's too much for me. Like, I don't mind books, but it's just too much for me. There's too much detail about things that don't matter. I can explain that as well. I love the way the book is written. I love the way the book is done. Don't get me wrong. I love the timeline of this book and how things go backwards and forwards and stuff like that. It is a little difficult to keep up with in points. You're just like, wait a minute, has this gone back? And then you realise it has, and you're like, oh right, okay. But I think one of the biggest things about this whole book, I say the whole book, I've not read the whole book, but one of the things about the book that just annoyed me was there's like a whole chapter set in the future dedicated to the character Stanley. It goes through pages and pages of story about his married life, and story about how, I don't remember, there was something about someone having some sort of disease in his family. It might have been his wife, it might have been one of his kids or something like that. I don't remember, because it was a while ago that I read this, but there was literally pages and pages and pages and pages all about Stanley, and telling you about what was going on with his life currently in that part of the book. And then he just kills himself at the end of the chapter, and I was just like, well, to be fair, I kind of saw that coming, because I'd already seen the TV adaptation of this, so I knew that was coming. But I was just a bit like, maybe the book's different, but it wasn't. There was just loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of detail, and then it was just all written off at the end of the chapter, and I was just like, well, I just sat there for like 4 or 5 hours reading and reading and reading, and then it got to the end and his character was gone. And I was like, so what was the point of all that? It really annoyed me. I was just like, I just sat there reading all that, and then he's dead. Like, it was completely pointless for me. Granted, it's a book, so books are going to be full of extra details, so don't hold it against me for thinking that part of the book was pointless. There were loads of other bits in the book that I was just like, oh, I really liked that, but I just, to be fair, it's not that I ran out of patience. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to read through 1166 pages. There's just so much of it. Like, there's just so much of it in the book, and I just don't know. I just don't have the time for it right now. Maybe if we go into lockdown again, I might dig into it. Moving on. So we have this is what we call the TV adaptation of the book. This is the one starring Tim Curry as the clown. It's also got the guy from the Wombles, the Waltons, Richard Thomas. He's the only person in this thing that I recognised. There's a back cover for you as well. Should we show you the disc too? Oh, nice like that. Got a nice Blu-ray for you there. So this adaptation is 3 hours and 7 minutes long. When it was on TV, it was done in 2 parts that were both an hour and a half, and then this edit just kind of puts them both together, so it's just one long continuous thing. So that was interesting. They separate out the timeline in this, so the first half is all about the kids and the second half is all about the adults, whereas in the book it goes backwards and forwards, but we'll push more into that in a bit. I get on with this version of it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of old special effects in this, so a lot of the special effects and the violence and stuff like that is just a little bit dated now, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's not their fault that the technology wasn't up to scratch back in the 90s. But yeah, it's a good attempt to converting the book to a film technically, or a TV adaptation. But we'll move on to the films actually. Let's do that. So you've got it, and you've got it chapter 2. These are both in 4K. They both got Blu-rays in them as well. The 4Ks for both of these look absolutely amazing. They're some of the best looking 4K Blu-rays that I own, are these 2 films. There's some back covers for you as well. I'll show you the discs in a minute. But yeah, like I say, these are 2 of the best looking, best sounding 4K Blu-rays that I own. Whenever I'm thinking I want to watch a really good looking 4K Blu-ray, these are usually my go-tos. They definitely used to be back in the day when I didn't have many 4Ks, because these were the best ones that I had. So the first this one just focuses on the children. There's no hint of anyone being an adult in this movie. The whole thing is focused on the kids. They could have just left it like they did at the end, but they do kind of leave it open to say there's more to come, because they talk about, oh, if it comes back, we'll come back. But yeah, if we take the slip cover off, I'll show you the discs as well. So you got a nice Blu-ray and then a nice 4K disc there too, so it's all pretty nice really, isn't it? I really like this cover as well, how it's all really black and the red and the yellow really stands out amongst the rest of it. So yeah, like I say, this just covers the kids, and then it felt a little bit like when they moved on to the sequel, it almost felt like they ignored the first one and this was just a remake of the first one, because this one more follows the timeline of the book, and it goes backwards and forwards between the adults and the kids. A lot of people didn't get on with the second one just because it was so long. I mean, it is 2 hours and 49 minutes long, so it is a pretty long film to get through, but I feel like this follows the timeline of the book a lot more, with the whole backwards and forwards. So from that perspective, I was like, I like what they've done with this. Why they didn't do that in the first one, I don't know. They probably could have just done that. We'll take the slip cover off of this as well. Black against the red again there, it's nice. And on the inside here, you've got a nice, I say nice, you've got a 4K looking disc there with some really amazing artwork. And you've got 2 Blu-rays as well, so one with the film and one with some special features, so that's exciting, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, with this, I did think this followed the book a lot more. This was a lot more faithful to the book than the first one was. When this came out, there was a lot of talk and rumours about the director releasing what he liked to call the super cut, which was allegedly 6.5 hours long. How you release a 6.5 hour long movie, I don't know. Maybe he's just a competition with Martin Scorsese. I don't know if he pitched the idea to Warner Brothers and they were just like, fuck off, you're actually mental if you think you're going to make a 6.5 hour movie. Apparently there was a lot of stuff cut out of both of these films, so You could just like edit them, make longer versions of both films if you wanted to, make extended versions of both films. Allegedly the supercut of the 6.5 hour cut followed the book a lot more, so it would be interesting to see that, but I don't think for 1 minute that's actually going to be released now, considering the director's moved on to other projects and he doesn't really talk about this anymore. I do hear they're meant to be doing a TV show of it, but whether or not they get round to that either, I don't know. Who knows? I have seen a couple of fan edits of these films where the films are being put together. One of my favourite fan edits was like the super book cut, where someone has edited both films together and played it out as close to the book as they possibly can, removed loads of the extra stuff that just isn't needed, as well as some of the weird bits in the second film where they tried to make it funny. Why are you trying to make a horror film funny? I don't know, but they removed a lot of the weird humour that was put into the second film, and they put both films together and it plays out a lot more like the book's got chapter title cards and stuff like that. I really liked that fan edit of it. I wish I could like show it to you guys, but you know, not sure we can really. I'm a big fan of fan edits. I like editing films myself and make my own fan edits too, so I did do my own fan edit of these two films actually, and just put them together so they played out like one long movie, and I kind of fixed a bunch of the continuity errors that there were in this one when it dealt with flashbacks coming from this one. So there was that, but yeah, enough of my cool showing off about my editing. Yeah, we're just gonna, so that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about Captain Marvel, so you got that to look forward to. But for today, that's it. I'm gonna go now. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'm gonna fuck off. Okay, goodbye.